Good morning. I am Professor Irfan Shukr, and today we are going to talk about understanding research paper headings. And during this discussion, to understand it, I am going to use an example of a research paper with the title Effect of Time on Sleep Duration in Grade 6 Students. The learning objective are, by the end of this session, the students will be able to identify the key headings used in an abstract of a research paper or a research paper and explain the recommended word count and expected content for each section. But before this, let's start by going over what we studied in the previous section. In the previous section, I talked about IMRAT. IMRAT is used to describe the standardized structure of a research paper. It helps us to bring clarity how to conduct the research and then subsequently to write the research paper. In IMRAT, I stands for introduction, M for methodology, R for results, and D for discussion. We also discussed the headings in a research paper. And you see the headings are title page, abstracts, keywords, introduction, literature review. This all is included in the I in IMRAT, which stands for introduction. Then we have methodology or methods, having design, participant, sampling, tools, data collection, data analysis, ethical concern, conflict of interest. This all is included. The M in IMRAT stands for methodology. Then results, and obviously the R in IMRAT stands for results, and discussion, the D in IMRAT stands for results. And then there are conclusion also talking about conflict of interest, ethical approval, and references. So next, we will go over how much to write and what to include in each part of the research paper when we are finalizing our manuscript. So if you see the title page, the recommended count is 15 to 30 words. A cover page is defined as a page with the title, author's name, institution affiliation, and sometimes the date and supervisor's name. In fact, this is the list of authors which you write. It tells the title of the study, who wrote it, and when it was from. For example, the title of my research, which I have taken as an example, which is a hypothetical research, is Effect of Screen Time on Sleep Duration in Grade 6 Students. And the author is Aisha Khan, institution ABC School, and supervisor Mr. Rehan, and date is March 2025. After that is abstract. The section of abstract, the recommended word count is round about 150 to 250 words. It's a brief summary which is covering everything which we have written in the research paper. In fact, abstract is finalized after writing the research paper, but in manuscript it comes first. It's a quick summary of what the study was about and what is found. For example, this study is aimed to explore the relationship between screen time and sleep duration among 30 grade 6 students. A correlation design was used. Students self-reported their average daily screen use and sleep hours for 1 week. A strong negative correlation, R is equal to minus 0.82 for found. Students with more screen time have shorter sleep. The findings suggest that schools and parents should educate children on healthy screen habits to improve sleep and the learning outcome. The importance of abstract is that when anybody is going to research the papers, then it's the abstract one reads. And if that, the findings and the abstract is robust and is useful to the researcher or the one who is writing something, then one reads the whole article. The third thing is keywords. The recommended word count, or the keywords, are 15 to 30 words are the total word count. Definition: terms that reflects the focus of study and aid in indexing and searchability. Very important. Whenever you want to do search, okay, what articles are present on a topic, you feed in keywords. Like in our case, the keywords were screen time, sleep, grade 6, school children, and education health. In fact, these are the main words that describe your topic. Then is the section of introduction. The recommended word count is round about 500 to 800 words. It includes the background, the problem which you felt and read research, the research question, hypothesis, objectives, significance, scope, and definitions. So it's going to tell us what the study is about, why it's important, and why you are trying to find out. As an example, in our hypothetical research, the background was children today spend more time on screen than ever before, which may impact their sleep habits. The problem is, reduced sleep time can affect attention, memory, and learning, especially in school-age children, so therefore cannot learn. The research question which I formulated was, does increased screen time reduce sleep duration in year 6 students? The hypothesis is, if screen time increases, then sleep duration will decrease. Hypothesis is usually an if and then statement. Objective is to examine the relationship between screen time and sleep duration in year 6 students. Significance is the study may help school and parents develop more effective screen use guidelines to improve children's sleep. And the scope is the study focuses on year 6 students of ABC school and does not include clinical sleep disorders. Now we have to write the definitions also. For example, there are two important keywords. One is screen time and sleep duration, which are pivotal to this study. So screen time is defined as use of digital screens like TV, phones, tablets, and computers. Sleep duration is the total number of sleep hours a student sleeps at night. Just revising. Introduction, recommended word count 500 to 800. It includes background, problem, research questions, hypothesis, objectives, significance, scope, and definitions. Then the fifth is the literature review. This component is important. The recommended word count is 700 to 1000 words. It summarizes the previous research which is done on this topic. It highlights the gaps which has led to the research, and that is the justification of doing your study. It describes what others have said about this topic and explains why your study is necessary. As an example, in our case, studies have shown a negative impact of screen time on sleep among adolescents, but limited research focuses on younger students in local schools. That is why we are doing research on grade 6 students. This study aims to fill the gap and inform educators about balancing technology and students' well-being. Next section is methodology, also called methods. Recommended word count 500 to 1000 words, and this is very important, but it explains how of your study, design, participant sampling, data tools, analysis, and ethics. In fact, it is the methodology which decides how robust your study is. Explanation is how you planned and carried out your research. And in our example, design was correlation research. Participants were 30 grade 6 students. Sampling was simple random sampling from one class. Tool used was daily screen time log, which was self-reported. Sleep duration record sheet filled by parents for accuracy. Data collection, screen use and sleep data were recorded daily for 7 days. Collected under teacher supervision and parent consent. Data analysis, we used Pearson's correlation coefficient. Using SPSS, ethical conditions were taken for, and there was no conflict of interest. Next section is results. The recommended word count is 300 to 800 words. Definition presents what was found using figure, graph, and tablets, and text without interpretation. It is very important result that what you have described in a figure or table, then that should be not exactly repeated in the text. Example, that's in our case, scatter plot was used based on this table, and Pearson coefficient was found, which was minus 0.08, indicating a strong negative correlation between screen time and sleep duration. So this is the text, this is the interpretation of above, but it's not the repetition. Then comes the discussion, which is point 8. Recommended word count 500 to 800 words. It interprets the result, compares with other studies, and explains implication of this study. What your result mean and how they matter in light of the knowledge already available. As in our example, the strong negative correlation sports previous research suggested that increased screen time is associated with reduced sleep. This implies that school should hold awareness sessions for students and parents. It also suggests future studies can test interventions like screen-free hours before bed. Then there is a section of conclusion. Recommended word count is 150 to 300. It summarizes the finding, states the conclusion, and gives recommendations for future directions of research. Explanation, wrapping it up and saying what to do next. In our example, like the study found that increased screen time significantly reduces sleep in grade 6 students. It is recommended that parents limit screen exposure in the evening, and it is giving a direction to future research. The future research could investigate how the affects classroom performance or introduce intervention such as digital curfews. Also, conflict of interest with none, and ethical approval was obtained by the committee. In the end, there is a session of reference, no fixed count, usually 1 to 2, a formatted list of all cited resources, and here's an example of 2 resources in our case. Thank you very much, and I hope that this has helped you to understand what are the headings in a research paper. Like if I have this thing with me, it's a medical, it's a journal. So if you see it, then you will realize that it is written according to the format I have described. Well, thank you very much for listening. I hope you have learned something, and we are going to meet again in the next session of research. So have a good time, enjoy yourself. Here today it's in Rawalpindi, and Rawalpindi it's beautiful. It's raining and cloudy. I hope you have good weather also. Have a good cup of tea. Thank you very much. Bye bye.